Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host, Liam, aka Hembar, and today I'm doing my weekly update. This is Liam's Leapings number 43, the update for June 17th, 2023. This one has a couple caveats on it because I actually recorded my original number 43 last week and something went wrong, and I was not able to fix it, so I deleted it. It was really short, but you couldn't see anything. Um, and then actually, I'm also recording this on Thursday night, so it's still going to come up Saturday morning. But I'm recording on Thursday night because I'm going out of town Friday, and it's just easier to do this now because I don't want to bring all my books out of town with me. So I wanted to go over first the books I finished uh, that I talked about last week. My update last week was 6 minutes. I was really proud of myself. Um, but I finished The Veiled Dragon by Troy Denning. This is a Forgotten Realms novel. It's a sequel to his The Parched Sea. It's a Harper's novel. It just kind of has a main character that's a Harper, right? So a good person, I guess you could say, quotation marks there. It was fun. It was fine. Maybe I should say. The beginning is really cool, I think, but it doesn't really get better after that. So, it does have this cool cover, though, of this Draco Lich and this ship where Ruha, the witch, is firing her magical stuff at this Draco Lich. Um, yeah. And The Veiled Dragon is a very accurate title for it. It's really cool in that sense, but I have some other problems with it, I guess you could say. And then another book I finished last week was Between Princesses and Other Jobs. I don't have a physical copy yet. I'll probably buy one here when they come out. So the book is not out yet. It comes out in July. But this is the next Indrajit and Fix novel. It's actually a fix-up novel. The first one is just a novel. There's a third one, I think, that actually comes out either late this year or early next year. So I think Butler sold novels 2 and 3 at the same time. So that's really cool. And I liked Between Princesses and Other Jobs. I already have a review out for it. I'm trying to get a few other things out that also mention it. I'll mention those when they come out, though. But I really enjoyed it. It's really fun. If you like sword and sorcery, if you like comic stuff, like just it's funny. You should try it. You should try it anyways. There's a lot of good stuff out there by DJ Butler, he's not as popular as he should be. Another book I finished last week was The Horse, the Wheel, and Language. It's by David W. Anthony. This is Anthony is an archaeologist, so that's his expertise. And this is a Proto-Indo-European or Indo-European archaeology, Proto-Indo-European stuff for linguistics side of things. He's not a philologist or a linguist, but he does do a pretty good job of representing it. There is a part in here about maybe 2/3 of the way where you're talking a lot about different cultures, like archaeological cultures. That's a little much tad boring, but overall this is a really stinking great read, and I really enjoyed this, and I learned some new things. One I'll probably reread and mark up more so in the future. I like looking at this family tree of the Indo-European language family. It's really cool. They don't put Anglo-Frisian together on here, though. SMH, but they put Latin with. They don't put that with the Celtic either. Actually, they don't put Baltic and Slavic together. They do put Indo-Iranian together, and they make a Latino-Faliscan branch, and they put Osco and Umbrian a little further away. I don't even know what Faliscan is, but they have Phrygian on here, which is sometimes left off, so that's nice. Armenian, stuff like that. Yeah. Anyways, sorry. This is a cool book. I think some of the people who watch me would really enjoy this book. It is free on Audible Plus as well if you just want to listen to it. All right, and then that's the 3 books I read. So there's a fourth one it's more of a short story, but I counted it here. It's a Middle English work, William and the Werewolf. I think it's from the 1300s, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a minute since I read it, but this is actually quite fun. It's a very interesting look at this romantic trope, and how it's often unrequited, right? Like in medieval romance, it's often this knight loves a woman that's married or something like that, right? And so that's not the case here. It kind of is, but often those stories end with, since you're likely not going to go read it, and it's several hundred years old at this point. I can spoil it for you. Often those stories end kind of tragic, or just like, it's whatever. They just have to deal with it. Like they don't get to be with each other. Maybe they'll sleep with each other, but they're not going to be married or anything like that. And that's not the case here. Actually, he's able to get the girl, and they get married at the end. There's actually a lot of magic in this one too. They transform into deer, and in the bears, there's a werewolf. Hence the name William and the werewolf. It is also called Guillaume de Palerme. Palerme, I think. So Palerme. I don't really know. It's in French, which is the older version. Palermo, right? Sicily. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. It's really short. You should read it if that sounds interesting. All right, and then this week though, I'm not going to go over the stuff I was in the middle of last week, but this week I did finish some more books. So I finished Realms of the Deep, edited by Philip Athens. This goes along with the Threat from the Sea trilogy, which I read in December. Um, it's a fun anthology, not the best. Realms of War, which I read before I started my channel, is probably my favorite. Realms of War is awesome, and this has some good stories in it. My favorite is probably Richard Lee Byers, if I'm remembering correctly. A couple of the first ones are really fun too. The last four are all like young adult, like short stories, and that was like kind of just weird to me because well, maybe not young adult, but they have young protagonists, so it's like kind of a coming of age experience for them. I thought it was odd that there's four in a row, but what's cool about it is that they all take place within a couple months, rather than just having a theme that somehow connects them. They're all like, and I know there's other ones like this, like Year of Rogue Dragons. I'm pretty sure those all take place in Year of Rogue Dragons. I could be wrong on that, but like Realms of War, which is conflict. That was the theme. So they were hundreds of years or thousands of years apart. Um, but it was fun. I'm glad to get another anthology under my belt for the Forgotten Realms. I haven't read a lot of their anthologies. I'd like to. My next one will probably be Realms of Valor. I think that's the first one. So yeah, that'll probably be the next one. And then I read. Oh, this is on top of the pile. So I read Old Moon Quarterly, number 4. My camera is being weird right now. I don't know why that is. Right, sorry about the camera. Oh, there we go. So Old Moon number 4. This is not as good, I felt like, as issue 3. I probably won't do a review for this. I did one for 3 because I was asked to. So and but still, I will say that the fact that I read this is probably my favorite magazine. Probably, uh, I need to get through more of ones like Magician's School and Whetstone, and even Savage Realms. Is that what it was called? Savage Realms one day. It's Savage Realms, I think. There's a lot of good sword and sorcery out there today, guys. That if you want to read it, it's very cheap. Sometimes it's free. Whetstone is free. Issue 7 comes out on Saturday. I'm still really bummed about my story. I was like, this is for sure gonna get in there, and not to hate on the guys there because I realize it's just a thing, but I feel like that's probably the lamest. I don't say excuse, lamest reason I've ever gotten a rejection for a story. It just sounds so weird to me. But hopefully the story finds a place elsewhere. That's the annoying thing actually about all my stories I write is that like generally you just get a rejection, you don't know why, and I in some ways I like that. You know what I mean? And so like I always seem to make the long list for Old Moon, but I've never made the short list or actual publication. But the long list means it's somewhere in the ballpark. It didn't get outright rejected, right? So, and so that means like it's got to be decent enough, right? I don't know. I always second guess all my writing because I don't, I don't, I don't have a lot published. I need to write more. I've written very little recently, but um, that's why I'm kind of trying to put more on Patreon because I don't like writing things and then not seeing it and anyone else reading it forever. Now, that being said, no one reads anything on my Patreon anyways. So if you want to, there's some stories on my Patreon. It's linked down below that are free. So you can just read something that's free. I guess I have poems on there too. But if you'd like, the support is nice. I'm perpetually broke. Which I try not to talk about, but I'm perpetually broke. I never have any money, sadly. It's hard being a full-time student and then having 2 kids with a third on the way, which I guess that's kind of an announcement. I haven't mentioned that yet, but yeah. Anyways, but it's also good to help others, and I'm not saying help me, or anyways. I don't know. I'm trying not to complain. Sorry, and I'm not complaining anyways. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. That's what I'm trying to do. Life was good. I'm reading great books. Another one I read was The Palisade Witch. It's a really short novel. G. Owen Wares. I actually found this one because I was looking up like Dying Earth books on Facebook a couple of years ago. I think when I first read Jack Vance, and this popped up, and it is Dying Earth, more in like Clark Ashton Smith vein, I'd say. It's pretty dark. Some people would probably call it grim dark. I think that label's rather useless for the most part, but it's sort of sorcery. It's definitely got the spirit of Robert E. Howard. There's even a couple times that I highlighted where I was like, wow, that is like Robert E. Howard's writing, like type of thing. Uh, but overall, it has a very its own unique flavor, and I liked it a lot. Um, yeah, it says Earth's Last Continent. It's very much a Zothic thing, but really cool. There's a second book I'll show you in a minute that I also got to read. There's a third one I think that's being written. Wares writes a few things, so there's a few other novels out by him, but they're all pretty short as far as I can tell. And I also read The Kingless Land by Ed Greenwood. This is a really cool cover, I feel like. Um, the book was fine, actually. It's very much heroic fantasy in the tradition of Dungeons and Dragons. It's not a new thing. um, not even means because this came out, I don't even know when actually, but it's Ed Greenwood for pity's sake. I mean, it reads a lot like a Forgotten Realms novel, but it's not set in the Forgotten Realms. This is Band of Four. It's the first Band of Four novel. I found it quite fun, to be honest. It's not great, but I like reading Greenwood for fun. This one doesn't have as much of emotional appeal as I felt like a lot of his works do, but it's not bad, and I do plan on reading. I think The Vacant Throne is the second one. So let's see. Anything else I finished? Oh yeah, I also read The Archive Undying. I did not like that. I worked a lot this week, so I was able to get more reading in listening wise. And the Archive Undying is one I listened to, and I didn't really like. I don't even think I'll make a review for that. Like that was just I have enough notes for review. Like I made notes to make a review, and I'm just like, wow, this is just not something I want to talk about generally. So there's my thoughts on the Archive Undying. I don't even like it enough to make a review. I guess I don't dislike it enough to make a review too, but I generally don't make reviews about books I really disliked. I my worst review, I feel like that the most critical I was on a book was probably Turquoise Serpent. Anyways, there's a few other books I'm reading. I'm really close to finishing chapter 2, like one page away, for Soldiers of Paradise by Paul Park, who I realized this week, just yesterday, is actually Paulina Claiborne. And I knew Paulina Claiborne, which is a Forgotten Realms novelist, right? Wrote one book, one novel, The Rose of Sourfell, takes place on the Moonshays. So it's like kind of a sequel if you read the Moonshay trilogy and the Druid Home trilogy, I think is what it's called. Maybe read Rose of Sourfell. I think it's a fourth edition novel though. So, and I hear like kind of mixed things, but I realized Paulina Claiborne was a pen name. Well, it's Paul Park's pen name, which I find very interesting. This is a very weird novel. This is a very experimental novel. There's like almost no plot. It's very alien feeling. It's sci-fi technically, but it feels kind of like fantasy in some aspects. It feels like a lot of things is mashed together. It feels super alien, super familiar. It seems, I don't know. I think the point might be just look at your society and think about it maybe because there's like some oppressed and oppressor thing going on here, but they each consider each other to be barbarians. Some don't wear clothes, some eat their dead, and others just like they're well they're oppressive in other ways with poverty and stuff like that. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Very different. Chapter 2 is very different from chapter 1, so I'm getting through it slower. Chapter 2 is also really long, but I'm like 114 pages in. It's not even 300 pages. It's taking me forever. I was really gripped by chapter 1 though. It's very interesting. It's not one I want to put down. It's just taking me a while to get through it, even though it's small. And I read an article in here. This is The Dark Man, Journal of Robert E. Howard and Pulp Studies, 12.1. I wrote down which one I read, but I'm just going to look here. I think it's on Midnight Sun, the magazine. A Publication History of Midnight Sun by Luke E. Dodd. I guess it's an editorial. Very interesting. I didn't even know about the magazine Midnight Sun before at all. It didn't seem like they had very many issues. I think it was 6 or something. I read a essay on poetic meter, like prosody stuff in Old English and Middle English a little bit too. Even in Modern English, some stuff mentioned. In this Old English tradition book, that is the last of the first section The next section is on Anglo-Saxon Christianity. The next article is Figures of Enoch in Bodleian Library Manuscript Junius 11. It's 40 pages long. It's considerably longer than the other ones I've read. But I am looking forward to it because it looks pretty good, to be honest. So there's a lot of other sections in here. I'm making kind of slow progress in this, but I am enjoying it. I'll keep that one up here, actually. I think that's it as far as books I've read. Oh, no, that's not true. Sorry. I forgot. Books I have read, but they're either audiobook I don't have physically yet, or an ARC still. No, wait. I think Bird and the Bear is out. Yeah, so Bird and the Bear by Gregory Amato. I just read a chapter that I thought was awesome. Let me see if I can open it so I can tell you which chapter it was. But I'm not super far into it. I'm almost 20% of the way in, or maybe I'm about 20% of the way in. I read chapter 9. I thought that was awesome. So The Scald is something I already reviewed. That is a prequel novella. Bird and the Bear is shaping up to be even better. It's just fun historical Viking type stuff. Very fun, honestly. So very comic, kind of like between princesses and other jobs as well. So that's really fun. I'll have more to say about that when I get further in. And then I also started The Blade Itself, finally, by Joe Abercrombie, by Joe Applecrumble. I've been meaning to read him for a while. I have, and this is dumb. I know this is dumb. I have a tendency not to read some things just because they're popular sometimes. That being said, a lot of the popular works I just don't feel like I'll like. So that's the biggest reason I don't want to read them. So like Joe Abercrombie is one I've realized for a couple years, probably a few years, that I said I was like, I'll probably enjoy this guy if I were to read him. But he hasn't so up high on my list, probably because of his popularity, which I know again is stupid. But I'm really enjoying The Blade Itself, actually. I'm only like 2 chapters in. I'm not far in at all. And I hear it's probably his weakest book from what I've heard. But it's just, yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to it, reading more. So I'll probably do a little bit of that tomorrow. Yeah, that's the books I read and am reading. So I'm still in the middle of 3, which actually fits pretty nicely. That's my physical book I'm in the middle of, Kindle book I'm in the middle of, and audiobook I'm in the middle of. But I did get a couple other books I just wanted to share real quick. I mentioned them mostly already. I got the newest issue of the Dark Man Journal, Robert E. Howard and Pulp Studies. All the articles in here look pretty good. This came out in April, I think. Articles, Rise of the Barbarians, Robert E. Howard's Barbarian Heroes and Their Predecessors in Literature by Dirk Gunther. Gunther? I don't know. Umlaut. The Problem of Tusen Thun, which sounds interesting because I like Tusen Thun. Just recommended to someone yesterday by Philip Emery. Scholarly Notes, The Veil of Lost Women, Robert E. Howard's Worst Conan Story by Frank Kaufman. Emerging Scholar, The Reality of Fantasy, Tolkien, Sapkowski, and the Evolving Nature of the Fantasy Genre by Julianne Byron. I don't know. Sorry. There's a couple of reviews in here by Aaron Cummins and Graham Thomas Wilcox, which are people I recognize from the Whetstone Discord. I want to put something in this. I don't know what the heck it would be. If I had more information on the first Forgotten Realm stories, I'd totally be about that. That's Sword and Sorcery. That's pulpy enough, right? Yeah, I don't know what the heck it would be. There are reviews in here, so maybe if I could get a review in here, I don't know. But I'll read this whole issue. Actually, I haven't read all the way through any of the issues I've already had, but I'll read this whole issue. These all sound really interesting. So the other fantasy journal I pretty consistently get, it comes out once a year, is the Tolkien Studies. That's what it is. Edited by Flieger, Drought, and someone else I'm forgetting, but it's published by West Virginia University. That's actually one thing that, how do I say this? Personal story time. Hopefully someone doesn't see it. I hate complaining. I don't want people to think ill of me, but it's not a complaint. But one of the most disappointing things that's ever happened to me was I was asked, and I realized I probably didn't have time to do this anyways, but I was asked if I would review basically some of the articles for Tolkien Studies, and I was never sent any, right? And so it was just weird to see my classmate mentioned in Tolkien studies. I was like, I could have been mentioned in Tolkien studies next to my classmate, but I was hammered at the time anyways. So like just busy. It was during COVID, and I was like, I couldn't handle all the stuff that was going on right then. It was pretty bad, uh, and so like I probably wouldn't have been able to help anyways. But um, yeah, I think I should have a chance to be able to actually do the same thing for this one. So let's see if that actually happens. Um, if it doesn't, that's fine. But yeah, I got Ware's Daughter of Agony's book 2 in his Dying Earth book, the one Pellucid Witch I mentioned a minute ago. That looks good. It's just as short as the first one. And then I got this cute little book. It's like mass market paperback size. It's tiny. It's a little novella, which I think I could read in one sitting, and I probably will. I'll probably do a review of it too, because I review most of the novellas I read. If it's smaller than that, I'll just mention on my weekly update. But this is from Scott Oden. I've read one of his books, The Gathering of Ravens. Really enjoyed it. I read a couple of his short stories. So this is The White Lion. It's 13th century at the Siege of Acre, I think. Is that how you say it? I'm not even sure, to be honest. I don't know enough about it. That painting is really cool, though. It's an older painting. From the Siege of Acre, circa 1840, by Dominique Papetti. Public domain, yeah. So this looks cool as heck. I thought I'd read it. Support Scott a little bit. I'm always trying to support. I always try to support indie stuff. I like reading whatever the heck I want. You know what I mean? And I read, so that's why it's all eclectic. Sci-fi here, random types of stuff, all over the place. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, my computer is. I like supporting the sword and sorcery scene as much as I can. I don't know. I don't feel like I do enough as far as that goes. I should do more. Actually, I'm gonna have Jason Ray Carney on the channel hopefully here soon. So that should be really exciting. I'm looking forward to that a lot. But yeah, anyways, guys, I hope this has been useful to you somehow. What have y'all been up to? What have y'all been reading? I'm really busy, but somehow I get all this reading in. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me. Anyways, I get a lot of stuff in, but whatever. Yeah, it's all good, right? So I'll catch you next time.